Turn with me, if you would, to John chapter 5. I want to read into your hearing verses 2 through 9. It reads as follows. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda. And Bethesda means house of mercy, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. Waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season. Somebody say a certain season. Into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man, somebody say a certain man. A certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another step down before me. Can anybody relate? Jesus said unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Jesus is asking this man to do the unconventional. He's actually asking him to do the illegal. Y'all ain't hearing me yet. He's asking this man to break the oh my God, okay. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked on the same day. On the same day. On the same day. Somebody say on the same day. Was the Sabbath. That's the text. Take your seats. The question is, ladies and gentlemen, what are you waiting for? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, what are you waiting for? Look at somebody you didn't talk to. Say, neighbor, what are you waiting for? Are we waiting for something to move? Are we waiting for something to move? Text says that they were waiting on the moving of the water. We often recognize that certain moves work externally. There's not a person that is sitting under the sound of my voice that can hear me right now that hasn't seen God move before. You've seen him move. And you've seen him work it out for somebody else. Anybody else seen God work it out for somebody else? I'm talking about the deliverance you want. You ain't got a covetous spirit. You ain't got grace envy. You ain't got any of those problems. But you just seen God work for somebody else. Can anybody relate? So the man that we find here, a certain man, has found himself watching other people get delivered. Some of them people might have had their cases longer than he did. Some may have had their cases shorter than he did. But what we do know is that he had a condition. He had an infirmity, the text says. 38 years in infirmity, impotent. And the reason he had this infirmity was because something was wrong with him. I don't know about you, but can you look in your life and find something that is wrong with you that you want deliverance from, but it hasn't happened for a mighty long time? This man has had an infirmity longer than I've been alive. He's literally had this condition for a lifetime. Anybody have a lifetime in a condition? And he has it not because he doesn't believe in God. Not because he hasn't seen God move, because he's seen the water troubled before. I've seen the water moving before. Anybody ever seen the move, but it didn't get on you? He couldn't get the move because he wasn't fast enough. He said, I couldn't get there first. He wasn't fast enough. He wasn't strong enough. And he couldn't get no help. He couldn't get any assistance. Nobody would help him. He said, if I only, some of the single ladies might identify with this, if I only had a man. If I only had somebody else to help me out of this situation. Am I talking to anybody? I know how it works. Anybody got God, think you got God figured out? I know how it works. I know that this certain season, have you ever found yourself in a place? We talk about season all the time, due season and the feast season. He knew what season that God did this particular work in. He said, all I got to do is be there in the right season. I wonder how many seasons he spent in that same place. I want to talk to a couple people that are broken in their spirit. I want to talk to a couple people that have some impairments. Some people that have an infirmity, they got an issue, and they've been in that way for a long time. And they've seen God move. And they've seen him move many a times. But it didn't happen for them. Because in this scenario, he said, you got to get there. The angel, when he troubled the water, they knew that they had to get there first, but he couldn't, because whatever the impairment was, he couldn't get there quick enough. He couldn't get there on his own. And no one could help him. No one would help him. Can you imagine 38 years of dragging yourself just to miss it? Oh my God, I want to talk to a couple real folks in here. Can you imagine 38 years being in the vicinity? I'm not talking about you out of place. I'm talking about you in place. Anybody really trying to do the things of God and found yourself in the place? You knew the season. You've seen God move. And you said, if I could just get there when he moves. I just want to talk to a couple of people. If I could just get there when he moves, then I'll be made whole. And he found himself dragging for 38 years. I wonder how many close calls did he have? Huh? How many years did he get close, but not quite? Anybody ever been close, but not quite? Anybody been close, but not quite? I was right there, but it didn't happen for me. I wasn't upset with the person it happened for, but it didn't happen for me. Am I talking to anybody? Truth be told, some of us are still crippled by indecision and uncertainty. Anybody ever found themselves crippled by indecision and uncertainty? I'm not certain if this is going to happen for me. Huh? I'm not sure, I think. but I'm not certain, so I can't move. I can't quite make up my mind. I believe God, and I know he called me to do a certain thing, but I don't know how it's going to work out. Anybody ever found themselves in a state of indecision? I don't want to make the wrong move, so I make no moves. Anybody ever been there? I just want to identify with some people. I don't want to make the wrong move, so I'm going to just stay still. I wonder how many years this man stayed still. After I don't know, it doesn't tell us, but I don't know how many seasons he's like, I'm not going to even make the attempt this year. Ain't nobody going to help me. And I certainly can't get there. Are we waiting for something to move? Are we waiting? Are we anticipating a certain season? An angel went down at a certain season. Has our expectation been hinged on a schedule? A timetable? A calculation? Because at this time of the year, right around, they might not have had watches back then. But right when the sun is setting, right when the sun is at its highest point, it's midday and the angel comes down and he troubles the water. I know right then and right there, God is going to move. Anybody got God down to a calculation? Because he moves at this season. This when the angel trouble, we know it's the season, right? It's about to be his season in a little bit, right? It's the season. I'm waiting on the season. A program. The normal. The ritual. Anybody been anticipating a certain season? Get this. A certain man. Say a certain man. In a certain season. Seeing certain things. A certain man. In a certain season. Seeing certain things. Happened to see certain people get delivered, but was uncertain how it was going to happen for him. Now, the next question is, ladies and gentlemen, can we answer questions correctly? Can we answer questions correctly? Jesus asked the man, say he talking about the text. Jesus asked the man, wilt thou be made whole? Is that what the text says? Wilt thou be made whole? The man answered him and said, I have no man. That's not the question. Wait a minute. Wait just 1 minute. I didn't ask you for an excuse. I didn't ask you for a stipulation. I didn't ask you how well you are equipped. I didn't ask you what your talent was. I didn't ask you what you were called to do. I asked you, would you be made whole? And the man answered, I have no man. By the way, excuses are not a proper answer. We must understand our desires cannot be reliant on man's ability to move us. No, let that sink in real quick. We cannot be reliant on man's ability to move us, because when God asked him, would you be made whole? He said, man couldn't get me there. Now let me say that again to the church. He said, would you be made whole? And he said, man can't get me there. I want to talk to the whole church. This man can't get you there. And we've been looking for a strong man, because we need somebody to carry us in all of our failures, and all of our guilt, and all of our procrastination, and all of our hesitation, and all of our excuses, and every weight that's so easily besets us. Somebody carry me, take me to the water. if I could just make it to the water, then things will change in my life. If I could just make it to the water. Has anybody, maybe it wasn't the water for you, but has anybody put God's blessing on a place? Oh, I see. I'm stepping on the church toes right now. I'm messing with church there. I'm messing with too many people's faith system right now. I said, because I was waiting, if I could just get to church. Uh-oh. If I could just get in pastor's presence. If I could just be under the healing ministry of Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. Because Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so got the oil of God all on it. I'm not even disputing that. I'm saying, have you been waiting on a place? Have you been waiting on a person? Or have you been waiting on the power? Was it the place? Was it the person? Or was it the power? Are we waiting on a man? Church, are you waiting on a man? The next question, Pastor, you asking a whole lot of questions. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm right like you. Because I done had some of these questions too. Can we follow instruction? Can we follow instruction? Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Let me get this straight, Jesus. I know we don't read the text. I know some of us know so, but let me get this straight, Jesus. You want me to get up, which obviously I haven't been able to do for 38 years. And then when I get up, which is going to be miraculous in and of itself, just to get up, just to stand on my own 2 feet, that's going to be miraculous enough. But after I finish standing and figuring out how these legs work, figuring out how this body works, after I finish all that, then you want me to do something unconventional. First, you want me to follow the unprecedented thing by the unconventional thing. I hope y'all are hearing me today. You want me to follow the unprecedented thing by the unconventional thing, because you got to understand this, if you know the whole text, is that it was illegal to carry anything from private to public or public to private on the Sabbath day by the law of the fathers. The fathers. The fathers say you can't carry anything on the Sabbath day. You can't pick nothing up. I don't care whether it's from your house or it's from church. You can't carry nothing on the Sabbath day. So hold on, wait a minute. You sure? I know y'all didn't talk back this. They said these doesn't dial. I'm giving it you in, layman terms, so to speak. Wait a minute, Jesus. I wonder if he had a little slang on. Wait a minute, Jesus. Wait a minute now. I'm believing you now. I'm finna get up now. But when I get up, you want me to pick up this bed and walk in front of all these folks, all these lawyers. You want me to take my bed and not only carry something, but you understand that normally a bed is bigger than you. Anybody ever felt like they've been strapped to problems that are bigger? Never mind. Anybody ever felt that they've been strapped to problems that are bigger than, I said, anybody ever felt like they were strapped to problems that were bigger than you? Even if you're on a cot, anybody from my military know what I'm talking about? Even a cot is bigger than you. So he said, I need you to take this thing that's bigger than you and carry it. Doesn't matter. I don't know if he carried it above his shoulder like a beatbox. I don't know if he carried it on the side. But whatever way he carried it, it was going to be obvious that he was holding something. No, it was really going to be obvious that he was, never mind. So it was going to be obvious that he was holding something. So you want me to follow the unprecedented by the unconventional. And then you want me to do what's uncommon to me. Walk. Because if I could have walked, I would have got close to the pool if I was slow. I would have got close and I would have stepped on in. But it's quite obvious that I can't walk. It's quite obvious that it's difficult or I can't walk well. It's quite obvious that I can't move in a hurried fashion. I can't get nowhere expeditiously. And I've never made it there before. But Jesus says, rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Receiving instruction yielded immediate results. Somebody say, just do what he says. Just do what he says. Maybe that one, I know I didn't get deep enough. I got one more question. Will we stand being interrupted? Will we stand being interrupted? If I was to ask you, do you like being interrupted? You would say, I can't stand. Never mind. If we having a conversation right now, you making a deep, you look like a doctor because you got on the glasses, you know you're deep now. So he's telling me this deep theological thing, and it's correct and it's accurate. He's telling me this deep things, and I jump in. What you gonna do? Probably gonna be like, obviously whatever I had to say wasn't that important. Obviously you think that whatever you had to say is more important than mine because you have interrupted me. So most of us can't stand being interrupted. So let me ask you a question. Can you stand being interrupted? And get this. The man is called a certain man, a man of infirmity. You could say an impotent man, halted, withered, unable to move, is now a whole man. Say he's a whole man. The scripture says that he says immediately the man was made whole. So now he's the whole man, right? The whole man never received the assistance he was looking for. He never received the assistance he was looking for. You've been looking for the wrong thing. He never received the assistance that he was looking for. And this is what really got me. All of that expectation. Can you imagine 38 years of believing God, believing on the move of God, believing on the power of God, seeing the power of God, and God said, I'm never going to do that for you. That's what this man is experiencing. He's experiencing the never. Man, hold on. I said he's experiencing the never because he never thought that this could happen for him. He thought it took the water. But the text tells us something. He never got there. What if you've been waiting to get to a place you'll never be? What if you've been waiting to get to a place you'll never be because God's got something greater for you? He never stepped in the water because he didn't have to. You don't have to do it the way they've been doing it. You don't have to do it the way that you've been seeing it. I know you've seen it done the same way 38 years, and it's been working for everybody but you. That's because it's never going to work for you. Let me say it again, because see, this is the church choir right here. That's all right. You ain't got to give me no man. I know the truth. I ain't looking, I ain't petitioning neither. Watch this here. The thing that you were expecting won't even happen. The Bible says he can do exceedingly, abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to not the people, not the place, according to the power. The power that works in you. The power. How did he get the power? It ain't even that deep, ladies and gentlemen. He heard the word and obeyed. I want to give you something. I want to trump it up. I want to make it real big and good, real big and great for you. All he did was follow instruction. Never mind. Let me come back this way. I said all he did was follow instruction. Rise. Take up your bed and walk. The unprecedented, the unconventional, the uncommon was waiting to manifest in a man who had been, in this case, 38 years. Anybody done had a case for a long time? And you've been waiting. So you said, if I could just get here. If I could just have this. If I could just have that. If I could just have the other. We've named our deliverance on everything except the power of God. If I could just get out of this neighborhood. If I could just get out of this debt. If I could just have the resources. If I could just have the people. If I could just have a man. It's the right season. I'm in the right place. I got the right motives. Why isn't it happening for me? Because it ain't going to happen for you that way. It ain't going to happen for you that way. He never went through the expectation of his own process. The process of his own expectation. All of us have a process of our own expectation. We know what we're expecting from God. We know what we believe from God. And we're believing God's going to do it the way he did it for everybody else. So we wait by the water. Y'all ain't hear me. I wait by the water. Dragging myself. I want to talk to some real people in here. Dragging myself season after season. Being disappointed by people season after season. And the one time when the Spirit of the Lord is talking to me and he says, will you be made whole? And I give him an excuse. The one time the Spirit of the Lord says to me, rise, take up your bed. The one time he asked me the question, will you be made whole? I answer him, I have no man. Can you answer the question correctly? Will you be made whole? Follow instructions. Follow instruction. It's not about the usual move or the season. It's about the instruction. I can't make it, I can't drum it up anymore, man of God. I can't do it. I can't make this exciting for you. I want to challenge you. I want to change you. I want you to ask yourself a question. Have I been in this same place 38 minutes? Have I been in this same 38 months? 38 years? I found myself stuck. Because you didn't work like you did for sister so-and-so. You didn't do it like you did for brother so-and-so. And I hadn't even been mad at them. I haven't been upset with them. But I've been stuck. Anybody felt stuck in a case for a long time? I have the answer to your ailment. Follow instructions. The wait is over when the word is given. What does he say in Scripture? They that wait on the... We waiting on the man. We waiting on the water. Because we know how to get to the place, but not in the power. I know where the place is. I know where the power is. I know when the power's going to show up. I know how the power works. The power works. Come on, give me a rumble in here. I know how the power works. I know how the power works. The power works when you trouble. Y'all feel the water troubling? Y'all, come on now. I said the power works. The power. I said the power works. That water ain't disturbed enough. I need some water that's disturbed. Trouble the water. Trouble the water. Trouble the water. Come on. It's gonna work now, right? It's gonna work this time, right? It's gonna work this time, right? No. What are you waiting for? Follow instructions. Follow instructions. What did God ask you? Some of us can only move when he tells us something. The thing that got me about the scripture, it was about what he asked him. What is God asking you? Because the man knew how God worked. And Jesus took the initiative. He said, will you be made whole? Spirit of the Holy One is saying today, by his word, will you be made whole? Do the thing that's unprecedented. Do the thing that's unconventional. Do the thing that's uncommon. Because the blessing here is that when the man took his bed and carried it on his, however he carried it. I like to say he carried it on his shoulder. That's how I visualize it. I don't know how he carried it. But he carried it. Say he carried it. The very thing he'd been bound to became the evidence of his deliverance. The very thing. The thing that was bigger than him, that he thought was bigger than him, the thing that he thought he was bound to. I want you to think about the thing you think you're bound to. You're not bound to that sickness in Jesus' name. You ain't bound to these spirits, these ungodly spirits. You're not bound to that. You're not bound to your limitations. You ain't even bound to your attitude. Will you be made whole? And when you carry your deliverance like this, it's going to cause a stir in the kingdom. Y'all ain't hearing me. I'm talking about the text. When you carry this evidence, it's going to cause a stir in the kingdom. Because somebody's going to say, you ain't supposed to carry that. Never mind. You ain't supposed to carry that on the Sabbath day. You ain't supposed to carry that on the Sunday. You ain't supposed to carry that on the... You ain't supposed to carry that when you go to work. You ain't supposed to carry that. You ain't supposed to carry that in the church. You ain't supposed to carry that. You ain't supposed to carry that on the drums. You ain't supposed to carry that. You ain't supposed to carry that on the keyboard. He toted that bed. And then he told him who did. Jesus did this. You want to know who? I can answer that question. Jesus did this. Folks are going to be upset when you get delivered. I'm here to tell you. I said folks are going to get upset when you get delivered. The question is, will you stand to be interrupted? This ain't going to happen the way that you expected. You're going to be in the right place at the right time, waiting on the right things, and then God's going to come in there and interrupt your whole situation. Is anybody crazy enough to say, God, I want an interruption? I know it ain't something that you usually ask for. I know it's something that it don't feel churchy. It don't feel churchy to say, God, interrupt me. Interrupt me. Don't say excuse me. Don't say pardon me. Just interrupt me. Anybody can say just interrupt me. Just interrupt me. Interrupt my traditions. Interrupt my seasons. Interrupt my thought process. Interrupt my expectation. Interrupt everything. Yeah, for real. Give me you. Everything else can wait. What are you waiting for? Follow instructions. Give God a praise all over this place like you believe he's going to do it. 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 Rise!